Okay, so for everybody at home, we've got 10 categories at the bottom of the screen. So you as a fitter, looking at your own numbers.
Yeah.
Let everybody know why, what do they mean, why do they matter?
Yeah, why'd I pick those ones?
Yeah.
So I mean, these are the most pertinent information in when I do a fitting for iron specifically. Club head speed, you see that in the bottom quarter, 94 there. That's just what I swung, right? So everybody knows that one's pretty obvious. How fast can you move the golf club?
Yep.
Number 2 is ball speed. So that's a big one that I look at a lot. It's the first number that comes up with Trackman as well, because the first thing that's measured. How fast did it come off the face? This leads us into the next one, which is smash factor. So if you don't swing as fast as I do, you can still get the same smash factor number. So smash factor is basically the measurement of how fast did it come off the face relative to how fast you swung it. Next one is launch. So launch is a big one. Everybody's different, right? I mean, everybody launches their irons higher, lower. Different products can help you get into the right range of higher and lower. 17 is pretty good for me. Just for reference, you want about half of the number on the club or loft of the club. So this was a 34-degree lofted 7-iron. Launch it at 17 degrees, pretty good. Basically, ball speed and this number here, spin rate, help determine how far your golf ball goes. So if your spin rate fluctuates a ton, like you guys know, you hit one out of the rough in the middle of the summer, you catch a flyer. Spin comes down, ball goes further. So you want consistent spin. Carry, which all that goes into this, consistent carries, helps you hit it the right distance. Obviously, when I miss hit one, my carry distance is gonna change, but you want that to be as tight as possible. Roll out, so how much you total it is how much the ball rolls out. So depending on how high you hit it, depending on how much you spin it and all those things, what your land angle is, that number will be plus or minus. Next one is attack angle. As you can see, like I said earlier, I don't hit down on it a ton. That helps me determine when I'm in a fitting too, is like what iron head is gonna be better for somebody. Someone who hits down on it a ton, who has a lot of turf interaction, someone more like me who picks it. And then club path, that's the direction you swing it. So obviously, if for me, I hit a little bit of a draw there, the ball started 3.4 degrees right of the line and then everything turned off of that. That's the direction you swing it. So for you over the toppers, you'll see a negative number there, which means you swing it left for a righty. And then the last number that I think is really important for irons is height. So obviously if my ball is going a different height every single time, it doesn't matter if the ball speed's consistent, I'm gonna see different distances. Peak height is exceptionally important and it helps all of those other numbers make sense. So right now I'm holding the Callaway Apex iron. This is the Apex Pro. This is their most forgiving one in their lineup. Kind of looking at the numbers here, we expected it to go further, which it did. So I swung at about the same speed as everything else. Ball speed was really good. So mid 130s or low 130s is really fast. Great efficiency, so good smash factor. Spin rates were in the mid to low end for all these irons I hit. Distance-wise, definitely one of the longest ones I hit. 189 carry, 120 feet of height, really good. Really high, really far. So it was a really, really fun test. Mizuno 245, so this was fun to hit. I mean, it's definitely bigger profile than the other two lineups. I found the 241 and 243 to look very similar on from the top line. This is a thicker top line. Doesn't have a much wider sole, but it looks good, and I think in your bag it's gonna look really good too. It's gonna look like a muscle back. It's long, right? I mean, if you look at these numbers here, ball speed's faster, 132.5, efficiency's a little bit higher, 141. Launch is relatively the same, spin was lower, right? So spin helps that golf ball go more forwards rather than more up. I hit it about the same height, 123 feet in the air. Very, very, very similar other than the distance, right? So, and the only difference there for distance is ball speed, it is spin, and then it's obviously, it's kind of height there as well. So the funny thing is like 190, that's a little too far for me to hit a 7-iron, but if you're someone at home who wants something that looks and feels really good and maybe you need a little bit extra yardage, or you're looking for kind of that little bonus, this is a great option. So I've got the Apex CB in my hands right now. This is their middle of the lineup. So it's the MB, CB, then Apex Pro. So in theory, this should be the more forgiving than a blade, but kind of look like one, which I would argue that it looks different. It looks different than the MB. The profile's different. I found too is like, smash factor is pretty good, 138. It didn't quite jump off the face as fast as I expected it to, comparatively to MB. So when we look at distance-wise, 176, which is about exactly what I hit MB, which we'll talk about in a moment here. 120 feet of height, same height I hit everything else at. It just didn't quite go as far because the ball speed wasn't crazy, crazy high. Spin rates were good though, 6,000 spin. I want 6,000, I don't want 55 or 52. I want it in that 6,000 range for me. Gives me the right distances. So it was definitely a little bit of a shocker. I expected it just to go further and just to be like way bigger of a profile, but it's just a different profile, in my opinion. So now we're on to Mizuno Pro 243. So the cavity back iron in the set. This was an interesting one in the sense that I found this definitely went further and was more forgiving than the 241, whereas Apex lineup, the CB was not a way more forgiving version than the MB. This does feel like that, and it definitely feels like it's gonna go a little bit longer, which, as you guys can see, it did. The ball speed was faster, so that's where I can't argue. It definitely comes off faster. It spins a little bit less, so 400 RPM or so from what my average of 6,000 would be, but 185 carry, 191 total. So very, very good. Start lines were very, very consistent, and the shape of it is lovely. So I would argue that, like, out of them, this is gonna be more forgiving than the 241, but in my mind, when comparing versus CB and MB from Apex, those are a little bit different. This is more kind of just a friendlier version of 241, which is kind of cool. So there you go. Last one in the lineup from Callaway, the hardest one to hit in theory, right? So this is the MB, the one that scares everybody when they look at the rack and they see, oh, it's a muscle back, it's scary to hit, hard to hit. I didn't find that. I did not find that it was harder to hit than the CB. I actually found that this was probably the one that I enjoyed hitting the most. I found the most consistent numbers for me. Didn't go the furthest, but it spun the most consistently, 6,000. So you can see there the average. Club head speed, I swung at 2 miles an hour slower. I'm not really looking at that as a big deal. My efficiency was great. So 139, we saw with the CB, it was 138, and then with the Apex Pro is 140. So this one kind of met in the middle. So it's not going way further or way shorter than the CB, it's just a different looking profile, which I preferred. I love the turf interaction. The way it looks down at the ball too, it's more of a low profile head, which I really like. So yeah, definitely a good one there. So this is Mizuno Pro 241. This is the one that's closest to what I play in my bag. So when I hit this, I'm not expecting crazy different numbers. I'm not expecting ball speeds to jump up tremendously. I'm expecting kind of some baseline stuff from what I'm used to, and that's almost exactly what I got. So I carried it about 175, I got 6,000 spin. Anything above or below that is kind of my reference point, right? So I use this for my numbers, and then I know, whoa, I got 127 ball speed, that's faster, right? So I use this as kind of a comparison to everything else, and I think with Mizuno blades, you're not gonna get anything surprising. You're gonna get what you've gotten for the last 25 years. A beautiful iron that feels really good, that also performs really well when you hit in the center of the face. So definitely a great iron.
So this is an iron versus iron video. One of my favorites that we did a while back, hybrid versus hybrid. So it's something worth checking out.
Yeah, check
We're
that
gonna
out.
link it right over there, maybe over Mark's face.
It should be right here.
There you go. Hold
Thanks,
it,
guys.
Mark. Nice, good job.
Thanks, guys.